recording. Here it is. Share. Share. Add a screen. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, let me see where it's. Ah, here it is. Here it is. Okay. So last week we finished talking about some Castillo. Andreas just arrived. Castillo. Where are you, Castillo? Here. We were talking about the first part of the market economies, and we were talking about the different features or elements that involve this market economy. So I'm sorry. So these were the last topic we were talking during the first presentation. Remember, there are some elements that characterize this market economy. Okay, so we spoke about the private property. In a command economy, they don't have private property. Maybe in social command, no, in a social command system, but in a communism system, no, they don't have good. That's all right. So over here in our market economy, we do have private properties, specialization, consumer sovereignty, competition. There's a lot of competition. Profits, of course, voluntary exchange. Nobody forced you to buy or sell your things, and government involvement. The government is very limited their actions in this type of economic system. Now, the next topic here in this is a chart that explains how the flow of in this case money is in green, how the money flows in this system, and over here how the goods or services are used, or how they move inside this market system. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to explain. It's easy to explain. We are here. Hold on, Molina, right? Okay. Even though we don't know how you cannot see it. You cannot see it. But this is, as I said, this is a model that economists prepare for the students or people who are going to study economics, know how things are, or how the things flow in this market. Okay, so this is the product market, and this is the factor market. This is the fabrics or the businesses where you create or you fabric or you make any kind of goods. And over here, we are here. But anyway, don't pay attention to this. We'll explain it. I brought a couple of videos that explain very easily how this chart flow works. So don't worry. Simple flow, don't worry, okay? So let's move on and let's go straight to the advantage and disadvantage of this market economy, okay? Now the first one, freedom is one of the chief advantages, definitely. Over here you can buy anything you like. You are not forced to do whatever you don't want to. For instance, they don't tell you you need to work in this area, things like that, like it happened in the command economies, okay? Now, a market economy requires that individuals be free to make their own economic choices, since it depends on the consumer's right to buy or refuse products to determine what will be produced. Individuals are also free to develop their interests and talents in what they find satisfying, rather than being assigned, and assignees that happens in the command economy, okay? Now, the government does not use a heavy hand to control the economy. This is another advantage of this type of market economy. The political process can be much freer, mucho más libre, with a diversity of viewpoints and open elections. Now, the third one, profit motive. A key feature of a market economy ensures that the result will be allocated efficiently, since inefficiency would result in a lower profit. So the idea is that you want to get good profit, so you have to know, you have to allocate the resources in a very effectively way. Okay, let's move on. These are some of, there are more advantages, but these are the main ones. Okay, if you come up with a good idea, it's an incentive to do so. And the more good ideas people have, the more the economy grows, definitely. In a command economy, you are not allowed to try to to improve. That's the word, to improve any kind of process. Okay. The second says the incentive to come up with good ideas is related to another advantage of the market economy. It encourages competition, letting consumers have the final say. Competition leads to higher quality products at lower price. It also helps to create diverse product market. Okay, these are some of the advantages of the market economy. Now, disadvantages over here, I try to summarize in this this chart over here. Disadvantage of market system. Unequal distribution of incomes and wealth. Definitivamente, eso sucede. No sé si ustedes habrán escuchado ¿cómo es que dicen el término? La distribución de las riquezas. La distribución de las riquezas no son equitativas. Eso sucede lastimosamente en este tipo de economía. Así que esto, Martín Suárez se cayó. Esa es una de las desventajas, one of the disadvantages. La exploitation of economic poor, del más pobre y del menos poderoso, también es otra desventaja de este tipo de sistema económico. Disadvantage group, la desventaja de ciertos grupos, por ejemplo, inmigrantes, the long term unemployed, los que están desempleados, are unfair treated, no son tratados de una manera justa. ¿Ok? Ahora vamos a ver qué sucedió en estos años en Estados Unidos. So the industrial boom in the United States in the late 1800 and 1900 illustrate the problem that can develop in a market economy with little governments, regulation. Por eso que el gobierno definitivamente siempre tiene que estar ahí para tratar de hacer un balance. During this time, a few business leaders became very rich. At the same time, most of those who work for these leaders were paid low. Issues like this led most industrialized societies to adopt some level of government involvement in the economy. Okay, so until here is the topic about market economy. Now remember, guys, you need to complete this assessment in your notebook. Remember, you have your previous vocabulary. This is vocabulary number 3. Remember this vocabulary number 3. There are like 12 definitions. You need to write it. And the title is Market Economy, then vocabulary number 3. And then you have to complete this assessment, guys. This assessment. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't remember if I add this one for you guys, but I know that basically you need to answer these 5 questions in your notebook. Why? Because eventually I'm gonna ask for them. So please, that's why I'm recording. I am recording all these classes and reminding you that you need to complete these assignments in your notebook. I don't want to hear any complaint. Teacher, you didn't say anything about, come on, it's recorded over here. Okay, guys, so please do it. Okay. Okay, now as I mentioned before, I want to show you these 2 videos that explain very easily how the circular flow works in this economy. Okay, guys, let's hear this one. This is the first one.
In this video, you're going to learn about market economy circular flow models. So there are 4 stops on this flow model, and we're going to start with households. Households are individuals who live in the country. They do 2 roles in the economy. The first thing is they are consumers, which means that they buy and purchase things. The other thing that they do is that they are resource owners. And the resource that most people own is labor. Some other people might own land or other precious metals or other resources like that, but everyone has labor that they can sell. The next stop on the circular flow model would be firms. Firms are businesses. These are the places where things are produced. So if you like to picture a factory, that's a really good way to keep what a firm is in your mind. So this is where things are produced. Now, the next stop between firms and households is what's called the product market. In the product market, like any market, you have a buyer and seller coming together. So the things that are produced at the firm are sold here in the product market to the households. And finally, you have the factor market. And the factor market is still where things are bought or sold, only the things being bought and sold this time are not products, but they are the factors of production. So think land, think capital, and of course, labor. So these are the 4 stops on the model. Now we're going to start with households and where their money goes. So these green lines are going to represent monetary flow. And the first relationship here is household spending. As you know, households, individuals go to the product market and they buy things. They give their money from the household to the product market, so that's spending. That money is then going to make its way from the product market to the firm in the form of revenue. So revenue is the money that companies bring in before they pay their costs. So that household spending passes through the product market and becomes revenue, which goes to the firm. But the firms don't keep that money. What they do is they send that money out in the form of wages and salaries. They have to pay for the factors of production, the land, the labor, and the capital, and they have to send their money to the factor market. Once that money goes to the factor market, it then finds its way, of course, back to the household in the form of income. So this is the monetary flow. Households spend their money in the product market. It enters back into the firm as revenue. The firm pays out wages and salaries through the factor market, and these wages and salaries become income for the households, and around it goes. But there's an exchange that happens here. First, households are providing their labor and their resources, and in exchange, they're getting income. So their labor and resources go to the factor market. From the factor market, their labor and resources find their way ultimately over to the firm itself. The firm's need in labor and resources to produce things. Of course, once the firm has produced things, those things, which we can call products or goods and services, will make their way to the product market. So the factory sends its products to the store to market. And once those things find the prospective buyer, they finally go all the way back to the households. And so this is a rather complex looking model. There are 12 different things to remember, but an easier way to do it is to think of it as a series of relationships. For example, if you look at the space between products and spending, you'll notice that it's just a trade there that's happening between the product market and the household. The household gives up spending and they get products. And that goes for any stop on this. The firm pays out wages and salaries, and in return, they're going to get some labor. And so it's much better to study this as a series of relationships rather than a bunch of disconnected stops on a complex model. And there you have it. That's the circular flow model. Hopefully this made a lot of sense and you learned a lot, and have a great day. Thank you for watching.
Okie dokie, guys, and then let's watch the other one. Open it.
Hey, this is Jacob Clifford. Welcome to ACDC Econ. Today I'm going to show you something that's all around you that most people don't even see. It's called the Matrix, and you're inside it right now. The circular flow matrix or model shows how products, resources, and money flow in the economy. Now look at your surroundings. Seriously, take a moment and look around you. The matrix is everywhere.
It is all around us. Even now, in this very room.
In a market economy, there's households, which is just people like you and me, and there's also businesses. Now, businesses sell goods and services to the households in something called the product market. It's not like just one place. It's anywhere things are sold, like online or the mall or the street corner, anywhere you can buy stuff. The computer or phone in front of you right now is a great example. I mean, you didn't produce that. A business did, and they sold it to you in the product market. The same thing applies to your chair or pencil or the book over there, everything around you. But to make those goods and services, businesses need resources like workers and machines. In the free market, households own the resources and they're sold to the businesses in the resource market. Economists point out that there's 4 categories of resources or 4 factors of production. The first one is land, which is any natural resource or anything that comes from Mother Nature. Then there's labor, then capital, which is tools and machines, and finally, someone to bring it all together, the entrepreneur. That's why it's called the circular flow matrix. Those resources are being used by the business to produce the products that people turn around and go buy. Now, what about money? Well, it goes the other direction. When you buy your phone in the product market, you had to pay them money. That's called consumer spending. Now, that money makes its way to the businesses, and they call it revenue. But the business doesn't get to keep all that money. They've got to pay for resources, and that's called the cost of production. It's being paid to engineers that develop the phone. Those engineers earn income. Economists break down income into 4 different types that go along with each of the 4 factors of production. They're called factor payments. When you sell land, you earn rent. When you sell labor, you earn wages. For capital, you get interest, and for entrepreneurship, you get profit. So this is it, the circular flow matrix that shows how a market economy works. Whoa. Now, let me ask you a few questions to see if you really understand the matrix. First question, is your local mall an example of the product market or the resource market? It's both. Some people are there to buy products in the product market, but there's some people who are working or trying to get a job, and that's a resource market. So products, resources, and money are all being exchanged. Okay, next question. Do businesses demand or supply? The answer is both. They demand in the resource market, but they supply in the product market. Households, on the other hand, demand in the product market, and they supply in the resource market. So both businesses and households are supplying and demanding. So far, this model is showing the private sector with just households and businesses. But there's a bunch of important things missing, like national defense, schools, and roads. Those things aren't produced by businesses. So let's add in the government and the public sector. The size and role of the government in the economy depends on a country's economic system, but in most market economies, the government still plays a role. First, the government buys goods and services from businesses in the product market, for example, fire trucks. And just like households, they pay for them. That's called government spending. The government also buys resources in the resource market, like teachers and firefighters. Again, it pays for those resources, which is again called government spending. The government then turns around and provides public goods and services like fire protection, schools, roads, and bridges to businesses and households. The government also pays money to businesses called subsidies or households called welfare. Economists call those transfer payments. There are situations when the government's giving out money but not for goods and services. It's to meet some other objective like to alleviate poverty or get companies to produce more fuel-efficient cars. But how does the government afford to provide public goods and welfare and subsidies? Well, they tax businesses and households. Income taxes and sales taxes fund government projects and programs. Now, there's several things still missing from this matrix, including a financial sector where money isn't spent, it's saved and then loaned out, and also the role of other countries with exports and imports. But for now, this diagram gives you a pretty good idea of how the modern economy works. One final thought. In the movie, the matrix enslaves people.
You are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage.
Many people wonder if capitalism and this hamster wheel of constantly spending and earning and spending and earning enslaves people. Now, would your life be better off if you pulled a Thoreau and just lived out in the woods? I don't know, but what I do know is there's a lot of things you'd have to live without. First, there'd be no cell phones or computers, so say goodbye to YouTube. And also, there'd be no modern medicine or hospitals. It would be nice if none of us had to work, but there's a trade-off to that. So does the Matrix enslave us or liberate us? Let me know in the comments below, all right? Thanks for watching. Till next time. Next video, more videos. Subscribe and leave a comment.
Okay, guys. So this is all what I got.
All around you that most people don't even see.
The market system, guys. Remember, next week we're gonna have the first evaluation, and also try to complete your mind map by Sunday or before Sunday. That's up to you guys. Do we have any questions? No question, guys. Okay, in that case, then see you next week. Have a nice weekend, guys.